Beautiful students, welcome back to our student well-being course. My name is Jana and we are discussing topics on how to build your well-being. I teach and I do research on well-being at Charles University in Prague, and I am also the author of the book Well-being and Success for University Students. Let me kindly remind you of what we were talking about. Today's science is talking about so-called building blocks of well-being, areas of our life that help us to feel good about our life and in our life. Today, we talk about 10, or science talks about 10 building blocks of well-being. And in this series, in these videos, we are going one by one, looking at those particular parts of our lives, discussing why is it important for our well-being. We are also doing some reflection. How are we doing and feeling in that area of our life? And we are sharing tips, what to do to build our good feeling or good life through positive emotions, engagement, relationships, meaning, achievement, physical health, mindset, environment, economic security, and our authenticity. In this video, we are looking at your engagement. Your engagement is a very important building block of your well-being. But what is it? What's engagement? What does it feel like when we are engaged? What are we experiencing? So let me go through a brief definition. When we talk about engagement, we talk about a state when you're being highly absorbed in activity, in whatever you're doing, whether you're talking to someone, you're creating something, you're reading, you're learning, or you might be experiencing even flow. A little more about this in a minute, while engaged in activities of one's life. So let's go back to flow. What's flow? And I'm sure that you all heard about this term. Extremely interesting topic. It can be defined as relaxed peak performance. And those are those moments when we kind of feel like, well, we forget about what's the time, where are we at, what even country we're at. We just completely feel consumed by the activity we're doing. We don't know even what day it is, and we forgot that we were hungry a moment ago. And yeah, we feel completely being involved in what's happening in that moment. But in flow, sometimes we even might experience feeling that activity that's we are engaged in is living its own life, that we are just watching it. We feel, for example, that we are, when we get in flow while doing sports and running, we might feel that we are not even controlling our movements. We almost feel like we are just flowing through the movements. And we do talk very often about flow in relation to sports, in playing sports and doing physical activities. But of course, we can get in flow through very different everyday life activities. As I mentioned, very often we experience engagement. If we go back to engagement, we feel fully focused while playing sports or while doing some crafting, creating something, putting things together, fixing something, or I don't know, like just making some collage. And for example, also reading, learning, studying, listening to podcasts, or just, I don't know, just reading a book for fun. So why is engagement important to you? Why is it important for your well-being? Martin Seligman, in his very popular book, Authentic Happiness, in 2002, talked about 3 different pillars helping us to build our good life. Those were positive emotions, meaning, and engagement. Now we are talking about 10 different areas of our lives, but I just wanted to emphasize how engagement has always been important, or we always have thought about engagement as a crucial building block of our good life. And why is it important particularly for you, university students? Because, you learn much faster, much quicker when you're engaged. You do memorize things much easier. You do recall things much easier. You gain skills, you gain knowledge, but also it feels good. You feel excited. You feel like the things you're doing have meaning. Your life feels more meaningful, more joyful. And yeah, we simply just enjoy being focused, being fully immersed in that moment, in the activity we are doing. Let me invite you to reflect on your well-being now, as you know. So here's the ladder technique. Very briefly, imagine a ladder you're climbing up. The lower number means you're less satisfied. The higher number means you're more satisfied. Generally, ideally, we can also think about your engagement. How have you felt engaged within the last 24 hours? How are you doing in your engagement within the last week? But I would suggest to look at your engagement generally within the last few months, maybe the whole semester, the whole year. How do you feel engaged in, if we can fraction that again based on the book? Let's have a look at subdomains of your engagement and to rate it from 0 to 10. How do you think that you're able to focus? Are you happy with how can you focus or not? How do you feel, or how do you think that you're engaged in everyday life activities? Those are, I don't know, moving to school, going to school, talking to people, taking care of yourself, preparing yourself food, and all just like general everyday life activities. How also do you find yourself engaged in school activities? Do you feel very engaged, or you would rather say that sometimes you feel bored, or you're experiencing boredom? The same at work or part-time job, or in your hobbies. So when you're at work, do you feel like the time flies, and do you feel like you're engaged, you're really focused on the moment, what's happening? Or do you find yourself wondering, what are you going to do when you're going to get back home? What could have you done differently yesterday while talking to friends and things like that? And how often does that happen in your hobbies? Do you feel engaged when you're doing things you're passionate about and that you enjoy? Then we have enjoyment with other people, something called social flow. I really, really, really am passionate about this particular domain, but I believe we all are. And we all are experiencing a lot of social flow, that we forget about time when we talk to someone, when we enjoy time with people around us. So how would you rate yourself here? Then we have engagement in your alone time, very important also area of our life. Do you feel like you're bored, or you feel itchy when you're alone? You feel like you don't feel engaged when you're just by yourself, or you don't mind it, or you actually even enjoy it. You barely feel bored when you're by yourself. Then we have creativity. How would you rate your creativity? It might be a summary of how do you consider yourself to be creative or not, but also if you find time for being creative. Then we have experiencing flow. That's the flow state we already mentioned. Do you find yourself often in flow or not? And then we have other engagement strengths. Again, if you felt like I forgot something important for you, some important area of your life, feel free to edit there, please. And let me remind you, your well-being workbook, which is the workbook where you can find your well-being wheels for each building block, including engagement. Here's the QR code. You can draw your own flowers there to assess your well-being and to see how does your well-being look like. But for now, let's focus on how can you grow your engagement flower. One important question might be to ask yourself what gets you in flow. Very simple. Just think, write it down, write it in your phone, think out loud, or just take a few minutes and think what gets you in flow, where you feel like time flies, when you feel like you forgot even about yourself, and when you feel like basically flow can be also described as a state when we are performing some activity when challenges meet our skills. So simply said, our skills that we have are enough for the challenge we're facing. Or even what helps us to stay in flow, the challenge is when the challenge is little more challenging for our skills. If we feel like we still have to focus, so we basically stay in touch with that particular moment in here and now. Is it reading? Is it sports to you? Is it talking to people? Is it, I don't know, watching documentaries? Is it cooking? Is it working or doing some things for school? Working on some interesting topic? Creating an essay or presentation? What gets you in flow? And then try to incorporate those activities in your schedule more often, please. I'm sure that you can do that. There's, I know that you're busy. I just wanted to encourage you. I know you can do this. Then we have another option. You can look at your everyday life activities and you can think about how can you craft your everyday life activities. What do you already do? What can you do to feel more engaged? So, for example, if we stay at school, if there is a class when you find yourself that you're getting tired, it's hard to focus, it's hard to be in the moment, maybe you can craft that moment and you can challenge yourself to encourage yourself to take part of the discussion, to discuss the topic with the teacher, to ask questions actively. You can start writing notes, you can create a mind map. Those are all things that you can craft to stay more engaged. So that's scenario 2. But what else we have here? I've got a few tips that I'd like to share with you right now. Let's try to stay off, if you want to be focused and emerge in the moment, from dilemmas. If you're trying to decide whether we should do this or that, it's not helping us to stay on track in that moment. Then we have ineffective habits like watching our phone, worries. Are people going to like what I'm doing or not? Try to stay off that too. Negative stress, like being very stressed about the results, or strong excitement can interrupt or focus. Not having enough of time, being stressed about that I'm running out of time, that's remember, flow is relaxed peak performance. Weak inner motivation. Try to motivate yourself a little more. Try to focus intentionally. Try to bring your focus back to this moment if it falls away. Having previous experiences help. So practice helps us to stay more engaged. Have clear goals. Create mind maps. Tell yourself, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm going to do. Get in good stress, get excited, create peace and quiet. Wear earplugs in your backpack and use them. Be initiative. Find the inner motivation and try to be initiative. Receiving a positive feedback or feedback in general, knowing that you're stepping forward the direction you want might help. Adopting a mindset that it is not important what other things about the process of your results. So yes, tell yourself that you're doing this thing for you. You're learning for you because it interests you. You're doing that because it's something you chose to do. Try to forget about what people are going to think about that. Create mind maps, mindstorm before doing it, and don't forget to have fun. All these things are definitely going to help you to stay engaged. And there is one name I have to share with you. And that's a professor, researcher, educator about flow, Mihai Csikszentmihalyi. We can almost say that he's a father of flow, and he's definitely a person who's done the most incredible job on flow, on researching flow, on talking about flow, on educating about flow. And Professor Mihai Csikszentmihalyi has written many very interesting, beautiful books that I'm sure that you're going to enjoy. You're going to enjoy how he expresses himself, how he expresses his thoughts. And if you're interested in the topic of flow, engagement, and generally in a good life, his books are going to be a great choice for you. I would also like to invite you to watch the channel, because all these topics that we are covering in these particular building blocks we have only like 15 minutes for each video, and we could spend much more time discussing what can be done, introducing more tips. And I would definitely love to share more tips with you on how to build well-being in each building blocks and in general. So please watch the channel. I will be sharing more tips and evidence-based activities with you on how to build your student well-being. And at the end, let me say thank you again. Thank you for investing your time into educating about well-being. Thank you for being here with me. I'm honored. This is something I enjoy the most in my life. You definitely keep me engaged very much, and I'm extremely thankful for that. And yes, let me invite you to another video where we're going to discuss your relationships. Yes. PERMA is the acronym, and the third building block is R, relationships. So I'm excited to connect with you in next video. Thank you.